How would you react if an alien ambassador vaporized a table of pastries right in front of you? Captain Anderson watched as the alien ambassador vaporized a table full of pastries, creating a mix of burnt sugar, flour, and fear in the air. The crew of the USS Resolute stared at the smoldering remains, clearly unsettled. The ambassador, a towering creature with blue scales and multiple eyes, retracted its weaponized appendage with irritation. It turned its gaze to Anderson and spoke. "Humans of Earth, you will surrender and offer tribute to the Galactic Empire or face annihilation." Anderson maintained his composure. The crew looked to him for guidance, and he knew he couldn't afford to lose his cool. He turned to Commander Reynolds, his second in command, who was trying to hide a smirk. "Commander, it seems our guest isn't a fan of our hospitality. Perhaps we should discuss their demands," Anderson said. Reynolds nodded, his amusement not fully masked. "Indeed, Captain. Let's take this to the war room." The alien ambassador followed them down the corridors of the ship, its many eyes scanning everything with a mix of disdain and curiosity. The crew gave them a wide berth, whispering among themselves. The atmosphere was tense, but underneath it all was a simmering defiance that Anderson could feel in his bones. In the war room, they took their seats at a large table, now devoid of any snacks. The ambassador's presence was overwhelming, but Anderson knew they had the advantage here. Humanity had a knack for turning the tables. "You demand our surrender and tribute," Anderson began, leaning forward. "What exactly does this tribute entail?" The ambassador's voice resonated through the room, a deep rumbling growl. "Your planet's resources, your technology, and your servitude. The Galactic Empire tolerates no resistance." Anderson nodded slowly, as if considering the proposal. "And if we refuse?" The ambassador's eyes narrowed. "Annihilation." Reynolds leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. "That's quite a stark choice. But you see, humans have a long history of not taking kindly to threats." Anderson raised a hand to silence Reynolds. "What my commander means is we need time to consider your offer. Such decisions are not made lightly." The ambassador seemed to contemplate this, its eyes shifting colors as it processed the information. "You have one Earth day. Then we will expect your answer." As the ambassador left the room, Reynolds turned to Anderson, the smirk now gone. "What's the plan, Captain?" Anderson stood, a determined glint in his eye. "We run." Reynolds looked surprised. "Run, sir?" "Not in the way you think, Commander. We're going to play for time. We need to gather our forces, inform Earth, and prepare for war. This empire underestimates us." Reynolds grinned. "I like the sound of that." Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest thrilling adventures. The following hours were a blur of activity. Messages were sent to Earth, warning them of the impending threat. The Resolute's crew worked tirelessly to prepare the ship for battle, checking and rechecking every system. Anderson walked among them, offering words of encouragement and ensuring everyone knew the stakes. As the deadline approached, Anderson found himself back in the war room, this time surrounded by his senior officers. They had a plan, one that relied heavily on the element of surprise and the innate resilience of humanity. The ambassador returned, its demeanor as menacing as ever. "Your answer, humans?" Anderson stood tall. "We refuse your offer. Humanity will never bow to tyrants." The ambassador's eyes flared with anger. "Then you will be destroyed." The moment the words left the ambassador's mouth, the Resolute sprang into action. Weapon systems activated, shields went up, and the ship's engines roared to life. Anderson and his crew had no intention of going down without a fight. The first volley of fire from the alien ship was met with a well-coordinated counterattack. The Resolute's advanced weaponry, a testament to human ingenuity and relentless pursuit of progress, struck hard and fast. The alien shields flickered and faltered under the barrage. "Keep firing," Anderson commanded, his voice steady despite the chaos. The bridge was a flurry of activity, each officer focused on their tasks. Commander Reynolds was at the tactical station, his hands flying over the controls as he directed the ship's firepower with precision. "Sir, they're charging their main weapon," shouted Lieutenant Harris from the sensors. Anderson's mind raced. "Reynolds, focus all fire on their main cannon." We need to take it out before they can fire. The Resolute's guns blazed, concentrating their energy on the alien ship's primary weapon. The tension was thick as they watched the enemy ship's weapon systems begin to glow with a menacing light. Impact in 10 seconds, Harris called out. Come on, Anderson muttered under his breath. Just a little more. A massive explosion rocked the enemy ship as the Resolute's firepower found its mark. The alien vessel shuddered, its main weapon going dark. Cheers erupted on the bridge, but Anderson knew the fight was far from over. Status report, he ordered. Reynolds scanned the readouts. Their primary weapon is down, but they're not out of the fight yet. They're launching fighters. Anderson nodded. Prepare for close combat. All hands, brace for incoming. As the alien fighters swarmed towards them, the Resolute's point defense systems kicked into high gear, blasting the smaller ships out of the sky. The battle was fierce, each side giving no quarter. Captain, our shields are down to 30%, Reynolds reported. Anderson gritted his teeth. We need to end this now. He looked around the bridge, seeing the determination in his crew's eyes. They were tired, they were outgunned, but they were human, and that meant they had a fighting chance. Commander, prepare the railguns. Target their engines. Let's see how they handle losing their mobility. Reynolds nodded and relayed the orders. What would you do if you were tasked with leading humanity's defense against an alien threat? The ship's rail guns powered up, and with a deafening roar, they fired. The projectiles streaked through space, slamming into the alien ship's engines with devastating force. Direct hit, Harris shouted. Their engines are offline. Anderson allowed himself a small smile. Now let's finish this. The Resolute closed in on the crippled alien ship, its weapon systems delivering the final blows. Explosions rippled across the enemy vessel, and within moments, it was nothing more than a drifting hulk. Cheers erupted once more on the bridge, but Anderson remained focused. Stay alert. There may be more of them out there. As the crew settled back into their stations, Anderson looked out into the vastness of space. This was just the beginning. The Galactic Empire had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity, and they were about to learn just how tenacious humans could be. Set a course for Earth, Anderson ordered. We have a war to win. The Resolute turned and sped towards home, leaving behind the wreckage of their first victory. The message was clear. Humanity would not surrender, and they would never back down. The USS Resolute docked at Earth's main space station, the Elysium, amidst a flurry of activity. Earth had received their message, and preparations were well underway for the coming war. As Captain Anderson disembarked, he was greeted by Admiral Cole, a grizzled veteran with a steely gaze. Captain Anderson, Cole said, offering a curt nod. Welcome back. Your report was eventful. Anderson returned the nod. Admiral, the Galactic Empire is not to be underestimated. They've got firepower and technology that rivals our own, but we showed them that humanity isn't going to roll over. Cole's lips twitched into a brief smile. Indeed. Let's debrief in my office. Inside the Admiral's office, Anderson and Reynolds outlined the encounter with the alien ambassador and the subsequent battle. Cole listened intently, his expression unreadable. The Galactic Empire's demands were clear, Anderson concluded. Surrender and offer tribute, or face annihilation. We chose to fight. Cole leaned back in his chair, his fingers steepled. Good. The Council has already decided we won't surrender, but we need a strategy. This empire won't stop with one defeat. They'll be back, and in greater numbers. Reynolds nodded. We need to hit them where it hurts. Find their weak points and exploit them. Agreed, Cole said. Our intelligence indicates that the Galactic Empire's strength lies in their central command structure. If we can disrupt that, we can throw them into disarray. Anderson leaned forward. Do we have any intel on their command center? Cole activated a holographic display showing a star map. Our scouts have identified a planet deep in their territory, Primus. It's heavily fortified, but it's the heart of their operations. If we can infiltrate it and take out their leadership, we might stand a chance. Anderson studied the map. That's a bold move. We'll need a specialized team, the best we have. You'll have them, Cole assured him. But remember, this is a high-risk mission. Failure is not an option. Before we proceed, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest thrilling adventures. Back on the Resolute, preparations for the mission began immediately. The crew worked around the clock, outfitting the ship with the latest technology and weaponry. Anderson handpicked his team for the mission, elite soldiers and seasoned officers who had proven their mettle time and again. As the ship prepared to depart, Anderson addressed his crew. We're about to embark on one of the most dangerous missions humanity has ever undertaken. Our objective is clear: strike at the heart of the Galactic Empire and ensure they can never threaten Earth again. I have faith in each and every one of you. Let's show them what humanity is capable of. The crew responded with a rousing cheer, their resolve unshakable. The Resolute launched from the Elysium, its engines roaring to life as it sped towards enemy territory. The journey was long, and the tension was palpable, but the crew remained focused. As they approached Primus, the Resolute's stealth systems engaged, cloaking the ship from enemy sensors. Anderson and Reynolds stood on the bridge, watching the planet grow larger on the view screen. Remember, our primary objective is to infiltrate and take out their leadership, Anderson reminded his team. We can't afford to get caught up in a prolonged battle. We get in, complete the mission, and get out. The Resolute descended through the planet's atmosphere, its cloaking systems working overtime to keep them hidden. The landscape below was a stark contrast to Earth, dark, foreboding, and heavily fortified. The enemy's defenses were formidable, but the Resolute slipped through undetected. They landed in a secluded area, away from the main fortifications. The team disembarked, moving swiftly and silently through the alien terrain. Anderson led the way, his senses heightened as he navigated the unfamiliar environment. The entrance to the command center was heavily guarded, but Anderson's team was prepared. Using advanced tech and precise coordination, they neutralized the guards and breached the facility. Inside, they moved with lethal efficiency, bypassing security systems and taking down any resistance they encountered. As they reached the central command room, Anderson's heart pounded. This was it, the moment of truth. They burst into the room, weapons ready, only to be met with a chilling sight: the alien leadership waiting for them. "You've come far, humans," the leader said, a sly smile on its alien face. "But did you really think we wouldn't be prepared?" Alarms blared, and the room filled with enemy soldiers. What would you do if you were surrounded by enemies, outnumbered and outgunned, with the fate of humanity resting on your shoulders? Anderson and his team found themselves surrounded, outnumbered, and outgunned. But surrender was not an option. "Fall back," Anderson ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. "Regroup and fight our way out." The team fought valiantly, their training and determination pushing them forward. Anderson's mind raced as he searched for a way out. They couldn't afford to fail now, not when they were so close. "Captain, over here," Reynolds shouted, pointing to a secondary exit. Anderson nodded, signaling his team. "Move. We're not done yet." They fought their way towards the exit, every step a battle. Anderson's heart ached for the men they lost along the way, but he knew they couldn't afford to stop. The mission was too important. As they burst through the exit, the Resolute was waiting, its engines ready for a quick escape. The team scrambled aboard, and the ship lifted off, racing away from Primus in the chaos they had unleashed. Anderson collapsed into his chair, exhaustion washing over him. They had struck a blow, but the war was far from over. The Galactic Empire would regroup and come for Earth with a vengeance. "We're not done yet," Anderson muttered to himself, steeling his resolve. "This is just the beginning." The journey back to Earth was fraught with tension. Anderson's mind churned with the events on Primus and the heavy toll the mission had taken. He knew the Galactic Empire would respond swiftly and brutally. Their escape had been narrow, and now the Resolute hurtled through space, the crew working around the clock to prepare for the inevitable retaliation. As they neared Earth, they received a transmission from Admiral Cole. "Captain Anderson, report to the war room immediately upon arrival. We have much to discuss." The Resolute docked, and Anderson, accompanied by Reynolds, made his way to the war room. The atmosphere in the room was electric with urgency. Cole and several other high-ranking officers stood around a large holographic table displaying the galaxy, numerous red dots indicating enemy fleet movements. Captain, Cole greeted with a grave nod. Your mission on Primus was successful in sowing chaos, but the Empire is retaliating with full force. They're launching an all-out assault on Earth. Anderson exchanged a look with Reynolds. What's our status, Admiral? Cole's expression was grim. We've mobilized every ship and soldier we have. Earth's defenses are formidable, but the Empire's fleet is massive. This will be the fight of our lives. Anderson squared his shoulders. We didn't come this far to lose now. What's our plan? Cole gestured to the holographic map. We'll meet them in space, try to thin their numbers before they reach the planet. But the real fight will be on the ground. They're targeting key installations, military bases, power plants, communication hubs. We need to protect those at all costs. Reynolds spoke up. What about the civilians? We're evacuating as many as we can to underground shelters, Cole replied. But if the defenses fail, there's no guarantee. Anderson felt a cold determination settle over him. We'll hold the line, Admiral. Whatever it takes. The Resolute was quickly resupplied and rearmed. As Anderson and Reynolds returned to the bridge, the crew was already preparing for the impending battle. The tension was palpable, but there was also a fierce resolve. All hands, this is the captain. Anderson's voice echoed through the ship. We are about to face the greatest threat humanity has ever known. But we are ready. We will fight for our home, for our families, for our future. Let's show them what it means to be human. A chorus of affirmations echoed through the ship. The Resolute launched into space, joining the vast armada of Earth ships preparing to intercept the enemy fleet. The first contact was brutal. The void of space lit up with the fury of battle, ships clashing in a deadly dance of fire and steel. The Resolute weaved through the chaos, its weapons unleashing a storm of destruction upon the enemy. Target their lead ships, Anderson commanded. We need to disrupt their formation. Reynolds directed the fire, and the Resolute's guns blazed. Enemy ships exploded in brilliant bursts, but more took their place. The battle was a desperate struggle, each side giving no quarter. Captain, we're taking heavy fire. Harris called out. Keep those shields up, Anderson replied. We can't let them break through. Despite their best efforts, the enemy fleet pressed on, pushing ever closer to Earth. Admiral, the enemy is breaking through, Anderson reported. We need to fall back and protect the planet. Understood, Captain. Cole's voice crackled over the comm. Fall back to the secondary defense line. We'll regroup and hit them hard. The fleet retreated, drawing the enemy into a tighter formation. As the ships neared Earth, the ground defenses sprang to life, a wall of firepower ready to repel the invaders. Hold the line, Anderson shouted. Don't let them through. The battle raged on, a cacophony of destruction. The Resolute was in the thick of it, its guns blazing, shields flickering under the onslaught. Anderson moved with a singular purpose, every decision, every command focused on one goal, survival. Captain, enemy ships are landing troops on the surface, Reynolds reported. They're going for the power plants. Anderson's mind raced. We need to stop them. Harris, take command of the ship. Reynolds, you're with me. They rushed to the hangar, where a shuttle awaited. As they descended to the planet's surface, the scope of the battle became clear. Explosions rocked the landscape, and the sky was filled with the streaks of laser fire. Secure the perimeter, Anderson ordered, firing his rifle. We can't let them take this plant. Reynolds and the squad moved with precision, taking out enemy troops and fortifying their position. The battle was fierce, but the human soldiers fought with a tenacity born of desperation and hope. Reinforcements incoming, Reynolds shouted over the din. A wave of fresh troops joined the fray, pushing back the enemy. Anderson felt a surge of hope. They were holding the line. Captain, we've secured the area, Reynolds reported. Anderson nodded, his eyes scanning the battlefield. Good. Now let's make sure it stays that way. The battle raged on for hours, each minute a test of endurance and will. Slowly but surely, the human forces began to turn the tide. The enemy, relentless as they were, started to falter. Admiral, this is Anderson, he reported over the comm. We're pushing them back. Excellent work, Captain, Cole replied. Keep the pressure on. We're not out of this yet. The final push was a desperate, all-out assault. The human forces rallied, their resolve unbreakable. The enemy fleet, battered and broken, began to retreat. "We did it," Reynolds said. Anderson looked around at his weary but triumphant team. "We did. But let's make sure they never come back." The battle was won, but the cost was high. As the remnants of the Galactic Empire's fleet fled, Earth stood battered but unbroken. The victory was a testament to human resilience and determination. Back on the Resolute, Anderson addressed his crew one final time. "Today we faced the greatest threat we've ever known and emerged victorious. We showed the galaxy that humanity will never bow to tyranny. We are strong, we are united, and we will always fight for our freedom." The cheers that followed were deafening, a celebration of survival and defiance. In the aftermath, Earth began to rebuild. The scars of battle remained, but so too did the spirit of resistance. As Anderson stood on the bridge of the Resolute, he gazed at the stars. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, ready to face whatever challenges the future held. Thank you for watching the video.